Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today, we're looking at why you used to have to use number 2 pencils on Scantrons. Now, you might be saying right now, used to? Don't you still have to? Well, it turns out, despite what pretty much all teachers will tell you, not really. Modern Scantron systems are quite high-tech, using image sensors and sophisticated image processing algorithms. These algorithms can even pick out which oval has the strongest mark. So if your test is being processed by one of these newer Scantron systems, you could fill out every bubble on the Scantron and it would simply pick the darkest shaded bubble in each row and assign that as your answer. As such, you can use pens, pencils, even printer toner or ink if you want to run your Scantron through a printer to mark all your answers. Pencils are obviously still preferred over pens, giving you the ability to erase your answer. Also, generally speaking, you still want to use some form of grey to black coloured marking device to ensure your Scantron form is read perfectly, although anecdotal evidence has shown that even using different shades of colour or coloured pencils will also work, though at that point the system isn't necessarily going to read your form perfectly. Further, if you pick a shade that is the exact colour of the lines on the form, it might just ignore your markings. On the flip side, the early models of Scantron machines were significantly less sophisticated. They read pencil marks by shining light through the paper and using lucite light guides. The light was then received through phototubes. With this antiquated system, for an answer to be read, the light must be completely blocked out by the pencil marking to register correctly. Graphite works well for this purpose because graphite molecules, which form tiny sheets of carbon, reflect much of the light that hits them and absorb most all the rest. It turns out black ink isn't opaque enough for these old Scantron systems. Further, lighter shades of graphite, such as in number 3 and number 4 pencils, weren't sufficiently opaque enough for these old systems to perform without error, as is generally required. Number 1 pencils would have worked fine, as they are darker than number 2 pencils, but unfortunately they also smudge easier when erased or accidentally rubbed with your hand as you mark the Scantron form, increasing the possibility of a false positive when the Scantron was reading your form. So number 2 pencils were just the right mix of darkness and hardness of the graphite and clay core to block the light effectively while also not smudging too much. One of the ways you can tell instantly whether whoever is processing your Scantron is using a modern system or not is if the Scantron is double-sided. If so, it cannot be using an antiquated model, as the marks on the other side would interfere with the older system's ability to correctly read the Scantron form. Modern systems have no such problems. Now let's move on to something a bit different and look at why pencil lead is called lead. So in the 16th century, a large deposit of pure solid graphite was discovered in Borrowdale in England. This was the first time in recorded history that high-quality solid graphite had been found. When metallurgists first encountered this substance, they thought it was some form of black lead rather than a form of carbon. Thus, they called it plumbago, which is derived from plumbum, which is Latin for lead. It didn't take people too long to realize that solid sticks of high-quality graphite were good for marking things. At that point, the graphite from the mines of Borrowdale became extremely valuable, so much so that guards were eventually placed at the entrance to the mine and laws were passed to stop people from stealing the solid graphite. In addition, once a sufficient stock of graphite was mined, the mine itself would be flooded until more graphite was needed. Unfortunately, sticks of pure graphite are fairly brittle, so people started embedding it in various things such as hollowed out pieces of wood and also started wrapping it in sheepskin. Thus, the pencil was officially born with a core of solid graphite, which was known back then as black lead. The tradition of calling sticks of graphite lead has endured to this day. And now for a bonus fact. Graphite deposits had been found elsewhere before the 16th century, but nothing near the purity and quality of the English find. Due to the impurities in these other deposits, the graphite from these deposits must be crushed into a powder to remove the impurities. The method for being able to use this graphite powder in pencils was independently discovered by both Frenchman Nicolas Jacques Conté in 1795 and Austrian Joseph Hartmuth around 1790. During the Napoleonic Wars, France wasn't able to import pencils from Great Britain, which had the only supply of pure solid graphite in the world. Nicholas Jacques Conte, who was an officer in the army, discovered that if you mix the graphite powder with clay, you can then form this mixture into sticks and fire this substance in a kiln. You can also vary the clay and graphite ratio to achieve different levels of hardness and darkness. This is more or less exactly how pencil cores are made to this day. Conte was also the first one to come up with a system to use numbers to signify the grade of the pencil, in terms of hardness and darkness of the core. The system, translated to the European system, is as follows. Number 1 equals B, number 2 equals HB, number 2.5 equals F, number 3 equals H, and number 4 equals 2H. So I really hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please do hit that like button below, and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also, over there on the right are a couple of other videos that you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.